Today's lesson is lesson 2.4, solve equations with variables on each side. What will we learn today? To solve equations with variables on both sides and to solve equations with rational coefficients. Equations with variables on each side. Some equations like 8 plus 4 times d equals to 5 times d have variables on each side of the equal sign. To solve, use the properties of equality to write an equivalent equation with the variables on one side of the equal sign. Then solve the equation. So here's that problem. 8 plus 4 times d equal to 5d. And as you read in the explanation, we want the variables on one side of the equal sign. So pretty much we're combining like terms. And so I see 4d and 5d, and I'm going to move the 4d over to the right hand side. It's going to make it easier. Not only is 4d less than 5d, but my coefficient 8 is on the left hand side. So I don't want to move that the 5d over to the left. You can still do it, but it's going to be very confusing. So what I'm going to start with is by subtracting 4d. Again, I'm doing the opposite to get rid of it. And I'm moving the 4d over to the right hand side. So let me rewrite this equation. So my 8 comes down. 8 is equal to 4 plus d minus 4d, which is 0. So that cancels out. And I'm left with 5d minus 4d, which is just d, 1d. So my answer is going to be d is equal to 8. Let's check this. Remember to always check. My original equation, so 8 plus 4 times 8, does that equal 5 times 8? So let's follow our order operations. We're going to bring down the 8, and we're going to add 4 times 8, which is 32. Again, does that equal 5 times 8? We know 5 times 8 is 40. I know 8 plus 32 is equal to 40. And we know that 40 equals 40. So my answer is going to be D is equal to 8. Our next example, solve 6n minus 1 equal to 4n minus 5. Ultimately, the goal of this problem is to solve for n. So my goal, solve for n. There's 4 ways to do this. I'm going to show you one of the ways. And what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with moving the numbers. So nothing with variables on it. So I'm going to try to move the 1. And in order to move the 1, I'm going to add it because I want to get rid of it on the left hand side. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So my first step was to add 1 to both sides. This is called combining like terms. So I'm left with 6n on the left hand side. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0, so just leave that alone. Equal to, bring down the 4n, that stays the same. Negative 5 plus 1, which is negative 4. The second step I'm going to do is I'm going to now want to combine my variables, the 6n and the 4n. So this time I'm going to subtract 4n to both sides. And yes, I can move the variable. Again, this is called combining like terms. Okay. Subtract 4n from both sides. 6n minus 4n, 2n, equal to the 4n minus 4n eliminates each other. And I'm left with negative 4 on the right hand side. My third step, yes, you guessed it, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. The 2's get eliminated, n is equal to negative 2. Looks good, but let's check it. So I'm going to go back to my original equation, but instead of the n, I'm going to replace it with negative 2. So 6 times negative 2 minus 1. Does that equal 4 times negative 2 minus 5? So let's simplify this. 6 times negative 2, negative 12, minus 1. On the left-hand side, negative 12 minus 1 is going to be negative 13. On the right-hand side, we got 4 times negative 2, negative 8, minus 5. Negative 8 minus 5 is equal to negative 13. So I am 100% sure my answer is n is equal to negative 2. Example 3, a real-world problem. Green's Gym charges a one-time fee of $50 plus $30 per session for a personal trainer. A new fitness center charges a yearly fee of $250 plus $10 for each session with a trainer. For how many sessions is the cost of the two plans the same? So they want to know when they are the same. So we want to know when Green's Gym is going to equal the new fitness center. And I'll just write new gym. So let's start with Green's Gym. They tell us that it's $50, a one-time fee, so they're going to pay $50 no matter what, plus $30 per session. I'm going to use S for session. S is equal to session. So when is that equal to? The new gym, they charge a yearly fee of $250 plus $10 for each session. Now, why would somebody want to know this? Obviously, you want to see which gym is going to be cheaper. Looks like at the beginning, the Green's Gym is cheaper because you're only paying $50, but notice the sessions are a lot more expensive. So we're trying to solve for S here. So just like we did in example 2, we're going to combine the like terms first. And so let's combine the 50 and the 250. And I want to move the 50 because it's a smaller number. 50 gets eliminated from the left-hand side. Bring down my 30s, or 30 times s, equal to 250 minus 50, which is 200 plus 10s. Now I'm going to move the 10s, combine it with the 30s. I'm doing the opposite of addition, which is subtraction. Okay. I'm left with 30 minus 10, which is 20, s equal to 200. Next step, you're right, divide by 20. I'm left with s is equal to 200 divided by 20. I can eliminate the 2 zeros at the end. Now I'm left with 20 divided by 2. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So for how many sessions is the cost of the two plans the same? For 10 sessions. I can check it. I can go back to the 50. 50 times 30 times s. Replace the s with 10. That's going to be 300. 300 plus 50 is 350. So this side will be 350. If I plug in the 10 over here on this s, 10 times 10 is 100. 100 plus 250, that's equal to 350. So I know that at 10 sessions, the cost of the two plans will be the same. Equations with rational coefficients. In some equations, the coefficients of the variables are rational numbers. Remember, when working with fractions, you need to have a common denominator before you add or subtract. So for example 4, we have solve 2/3 times x minus 1 is equal to 9 minus 1/6 times x. I notice my denominators are different. So I'm going to need to find a common denominator, and I know that 3 and 6 have a common denominator of 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this fraction by 2. So I'm going to have 2 times 2, which is 4. 2 times 3, which is 6. So that's going to be 4, 6 minus 1 equals 9 minus 1/6 x. Now we have common denominators, and now our steps are going to be pretty much the same. Let me start with the -1. Let's add that to both sides. Again, we're doing the opposite. It's negative on this side. I'm going to add it to both sides. So I'm left with 9 plus 1 is 10. Bring down my 4 6 times x equals 10 minus 1 6 x. So I want to combine my fractions now, my 4 6 x and the negative 1 6 x. And in order to do that, I'm going to be changing sides. So I'm going to subtract, or add, sorry, 1 6 x. Sorry, that should be addition. So because we have the common denominators, it makes it a lot easier. So now I have 4 plus 1, which is 5, over 6x equal to 10. We've learned this in previous lessons. Now, in order to simplify for x, we are going to have to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 5 6 is 6 fifths, or 6 over 5. That cancels everything out there on the left-hand side. X is going to be equal to 10 times 6 over 5, or I can cross-cancel. I know 5 goes into 5 one time, and 5 goes into 10 two times, and I'm left with 2 times 6, which is 12. So this answer, my x is going to equal 12. Let's check it. So I have 2/3 times 12 minus 1. Does that equal 9 minus 1 6 times 12? All right, let's start by cross-canceling, because I know I can cross-cancel the 3 and the 12. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So I have 2 times 4, which is 8, minus 1. That's going to leave me with 7 on the left-hand side. Let's focus on the right-hand side. I can cross-cancel the 6. 6 goes into 6 one time and into 12 two times. So now I have 9 minus 1 times 2, which is 2. 9 minus 2 is 7. And 7 does equal 7. So I know with 100% certainty that x is going to equal 12. In closing, boys and girls, remember that we have equations here with variables on both sides. So what you're going to do, first thing is you're going to combine like terms. It may be with a variable, it may be without a variable. The key thing to remember is you want to move, or I should say, try to move the smaller number. Okay. Make sure if you did not understand this, go back and review it, please. Your grade, I'm trying to help you out. If you have any questions, make sure you make a note of what questions you have so that you can either come up to me and discuss it, or when we do our notes for this lesson, you can ask me those questions. Thank you and have a good day.